We're live everywhere,
Okay.
everywhere you wanted to be. And that's it. Okay, everything's working. I think I'm ready, rearing and ready to go here with you. Okay.
What does Stephen Austin and John James Audubon have in common with St. Genevieve, Missouri? Find out here on St. Louis in Tune. Welcome to St. Louis in Tune, and thank you for joining us for fresh perspectives on issues and events with experts, community leaders, and everyday people who are driving change and making an impact that shapes our society and world. I'm your host, Arnold Stricker, along with co-host Mark Langston. Mark, what's shaking?
Bacon. I'm intrigued by the opening of the show.
I was too when I was reading the book. I was like, what? What?
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
What was that?
I know. I'm very intrigued by this show. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that. But first, a return to civility.
About time.
We all need to be civil to one another, especially when driving. But this doesn't relate to driving. It relates to receiving a gift. Mark, have you ever gotten a gift before that you were like, okay, well, yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I do it right. Yes. Yes. Thank you. I try to be excited about it.
That's like what this one says. It says, if you receive a gift that you don't need, express your heartiest thank you, and then do something useful with the gift, such as sharing it with someone who might need it, or donating it to charity, or regifting it.
I was just I've re-gifted more than once.
As long as you don't give it back to the person that gave it to you.
Or somebody they know.
We did that in the office. It would go around the office several times.
Oh, yeah. That's really true.
So if you receive a gift that you don't need, express your heartiest thank you.
Yeah. Don't you think people put a little thought and energy and effort into,
You always want to try to do that with a gift. It's kind of like the last minute thing. Oh, here's a gift card.
Right.
Or, yeah.
Thank you.
Or, yeah.
No, thank you.
So it's,
yeah.
It's a tough one.
I've given those to family members and felt bad about gift cards.
Sometimes you don't know what to get them.
I know it's a last resort. And,
right.
I even mention it. I say, I'm sorry, but here.
and it's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
It works.
Yeah, we're still here. Okay.
Well, what's okay about our discussion today is we're going to learn about St. Genevieve, Missouri, a walk through history. It's a new book by Valerie Battle Kinzel, and it's produced by Reedy Press. We have a great relationship with Reedy Press, and Valerie's been on several times with us. We've talked with her about the St. Charles Walking book and the Ready to Wear book, and if you missed those excerpts, those podcasts, go to stlintune.com. But today, this is really interesting. Valerie, welcome to St. Louis in Tune in studio. We've always been on the phone.
That's right. Thank you for having me.
The first question I have about the book is I never knew, and I took French in school, was Saint, S-A-I-N-T-E, was for a female saint, and S-T-E, the abbreviation, S-T-E was for the female saint abbreviation. I never knew that.
I took a lot of French in high school and college too, and I never knew that until I was researching for this book.
Where did that come about in the research?
When I was researching Saint Genevieve, the 5th century saint who was the patron saint of Paris, France. And that's how she was referred to. And STE period is the abbreviation for the female version of saint.
So, Mark, when I think about like Sault Ste. Marie up in Michigan, I think that's STE also.
Right.
Saint Marie,
This is all new to me.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why, folks, you need to listen to this show. We expand your horizons of necessary and needless information.
and educate you. Right.
Educate you. Yeah. Right. There you go. Yeah. So, biggest thing that stands out when you were investigating St. Genevieve in this book, what was that other than maybe the female saint thing?
I think St. Genevieve is probably a really underappreciated city, a hidden jewel, if you will. We know about St. Charles in Missouri and what the people and the officials have done to renovate that and make it a place that has worldwide recognition and brings in all kinds of tourists to look at the architecture and learn the history. I think St. Genevieve is just a little bit behind that. They've got the people behind it that are, they realize what an amazing piece of property St. Genevieve encompasses. And they're working and bringing it back and renew, revitalize. And those who live there, obviously, they have always enjoyed St. Genevieve, but I think it's opening up to a lot of people. The first time I went down there, I noticed the license plates on cars, and there were all kinds of states from all over the country represented. This was leading up to summertime, and
Gotcha.
I guess the start of tourist season. A lot of people wanted to see it.
And what's the history of St. Genevieve or St. Gen? It's maybe
right.
a lot referred to that like that.
Right.
Of it's very important in the state.
It's the oldest settlement west of the Mississippi,
Ooh.
founded by the French. They came down from Quebec and settled in on the Mississippi, and we're looking for ways to start a new way of life. And they settled along the Mississippi. Unfortunately, the Mississippi, being that it is, and what it does is floods a lot. And so for a number of years, St. Genevieve, the first iteration, was flooded before they finally decided to move inland about 3 miles and down a little bit. And it helped with the flooding.
Is that up on a bluff a little bit, or is it more kind of on just a little gentle rise from the river?
It's just a rise. What the tradition that the French brought with them was farming where there's no fences, no boundaries. And it's an area called alluvial plains. And it was measured in arpents. That was a measurement that's a little less than an acre. But that was right along the river. And that's what kept flooding were their fields. They had all kinds of corn and tobacco and hemp and their crops. When the seasonal floods came, they flooded too. So they decided, you know what, maybe we should relocate. So
we should do something different here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to survive.
Right.
Look for high ground.
Now, they have an interesting architectural feature also, and I'll see how good my French still is poteaux en terre, vertical logs in the ground. And it's, again, another significant architectural feature, and I'll let you explain.
Okay, there are only 5 structures in the United States that remain that were constructed this way. And it's literally people cut down trees and took the branches off of them and stuck them in the ground with a little bit of distance between them and filled them in with rocks and mud and daubing. And out of the 5 that are in the United States, 3 of them are in St. Genevieve.
Crazy.
So that's pretty amazing. That's
is.
a national treasure, really.
It is.
Yeah.
And have they been renovated? Can you go in and see them?
Yes, some of them have. The thing about St. Genevieve, there are a lot of structures that are open for people to look at. Anything that's part of the National Park Service is free, fee-free. There are others that do have a small fee. And then some of the houses and places are private residences. And that's what's important with a walking tour, to be respectful, that you can look with your eyes, but you don't have to go up and knock on the door and say, hey, can I come look at your place?
Yeah. I'm going to tear your walls up and see what's there.
Yeah. So it is visible on several of the houses, and it's actually pretty interesting. The structure, for example, the Gibber Vale House, it has just amazing structural features, and it has an open attic, an open area up by the roof, if you will, and it's just logs, and you see some of the logs still have the bark on them, but they hold themselves in place, and the structure's been there for over 200 years.
Is that truss system you mentioned in the book? Okay. So they're just kind of basically...
They hold themselves up.
Aye.
Yeah.
And this is the days before rulers, before computers, before...
chainsaws.
Yes,
Right.
basic tools.
Yeah.
And the ones that do have pegs to join at the joists, they're wooden pegs.
Wow.
just it's pretty fascinating. I'm just wowed by the ingenuity.
Yeah, some of the things you mentioned,
Mhm.
and I didn't know this either, that Southeast Missouri State University is the only university in the state or in the country that has this, my words, architectural renovation degree program, because some of the students went there and they were looking, oh, there's horsehair in there. And
Right.
because
Mhm.
Yes, one of the houses on North Main Street has that, and they were given permission to go and look at some of the structural aspects of it.
it's amazing, Mark.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. I can't say I've ever really paid attention to St. Genevieve, gone to St. Genevieve, been there. I probably should.
Yeah, I've driven through there. I know they have,
Yeah.
the wineries now,
Mhm.
down there, and
Right.
just kind of driven through there on the way to Cape. Let's take a side. I've been to the antique mall
Right.
several times. It's a great antique mall.
Yeah. But spending any time in the city is,
Right.
it's not a very big city either, is it?
No, and this book focuses on 5 relatively short mile and a half, 2 mile walking loops around in the old part of the city, not out.
Mhm.
But this is down near the Mississippi, near the area where the city was first originated,
Okay,
and
talk-
so old buildings and old houses and things like that.
Talk about some of those walks that you have in there, because I know you like to walk,
I do.
and you even have a driving tour in there for those who don't want to.
Well, it's introductory, and it's because there are no sidewalks on that particular part of it, and that's
Okay.
recommended at the very first. Is to stay in your car and to see just some of these sites, because there is no sidewalk, and it's pretty long between the various sites. So there's that, and then the 5 walking tours, and you see things, houses, you see businesses, churches, places where people lived. And
How did you pick out those things that you highlighted in the book? You give what I would call a little synopsis and a photograph and a history of who occupied that house, like this one house that was owned by a free man, Casimir, the William Brooks house. How did you
Mhm.
pick out the ones that you wanted on the walking tour?
I have many resources, and they are noted in the back of the book. But I looked at things like National Register of Historic Places
Mhm.
and just census records and things like that, going back and looking and seeing who lived here. Each place has a story, but it was picking which stories to me were
tell.
the most interesting.
Right.
And I'm one of those people when I walk, sadly, that's probably why I do have some knee trouble. I like to walk, but I also have my head up and I'm looking at architecture. I love to look at architectural features. And so that was another thing on these walking tour books. It's like, just beware of where you're stepping, because a lot of these places are old. There's cobblestone streets, the
Right.
sidewalks, the trees have grown up, the roots may have made the sidewalks buck up a little bit. So anyway, it's good to keep your eyes where you're going.
Now,
And they call it they call it a guidebook though, so it is
Mhm.
really a guide. And I think there's like 5 different tours. Is that
5 walking tours, yes,
Yeah.
5 loop tours, and you'll
Okay.
get a really good feel for the historic part of St. Genevieve.
And there's not really any modern buildings in St. Genevieve, are there?
Not so much, not in this particular section. Now you go out, there's
Mhm.
subdivisions and
Right.
groceries. The school, which is really kind of interesting to me, was the elementary, the middle, and the high school are all in this one complex area.
Mhm.
And
So
you
everybody
go to school, you're going that direction for 12
Right.
plus years.
for a long time.
Wow, it's interesting.
The campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is
There
indeed
you
a
go.
campus. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the Val family, but like
Mhm.
the Valet family,
Yeah.
accent aigu,
Oh,
remembering French.
bonjour.
Yeah, bonjour.
Okay.
Very prominent family. Did they help establish St. Genevieve?
They were one of the early families.
Mm.
They had father, several 4 sons were mayor at one particular point, and still have a presence in St. Genevieve. So they've been around for a very long time.
There's a high school down there named Valley High School?
Hmm.
Is that the Catholic school, or is that
Yes,
the okay?
that's the Catholic
Okay,
school.
they're big in sports. I know
Hmm.
that.
Mhm.
They've
Really?
won several state championships.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, to be
So
recognized.
I know I teased at the beginning of the show. By the way, this is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune, and we're talking to a great book here we're talking about. It's called St. Genevieve, Missouri, a walking tour by Valerie Kinzel. And I mentioned Austin, and I'll just say Moses Austin, because he's really the one, and John James Audubon. Give our listeners this unbelievable kind of historical reference to St. Genevieve and these individuals that people should know.
Okay, this was something that I did not know about John James Audubon. I've always liked his bird books
Right.
and his artistry and his sketches, but he came to St. Genevieve with a friend of his. They were in business. They had a store in Henderson, Kentucky, and another part of Kentucky. And they came to St. Genevieve to start a new enterprise. And his friend's last name was Rozier, and that name is still a popular name. They still have retail grocery stores in St. Genevieve after
Wow.
all this many generations. So Audubon and Rozier came together. They were going to have the store like they had in Kentucky. Audubon lasted about 6 weeks, and he was totally enamored with the birds that were found along the Mississippi down there, along the river. And he got interested in that. Plus, his wife was still in Kentucky. So he only
Okay.
lasted about 6 weeks in St. Genevieve, and then went back, and then, of course, went on to other things.
Right. Other great things.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And people might not, they would recognize Stephen Austin, but not Moses Austin.
Right. Moses was his dad. Stephen Austin was the founder of Texas. Austin, Texas is named for him. And Moses Austin was one of the early residents in St. Genevieve. Why his house, his primary residence is not still there. There are still 2 outbuildings that are close to the river that have been various states of reconstruction and renovation, but they are still there. And those date back early 1800s.
Who would figure that people like this have that connection with St. Gen, let alone Missouri? You wouldn't think that Stephen Austin, the founder of Texas,
Right.
but, Pops lives up in St. Gen, and then Audubon comes out and checking the birds out on the river.
I know. Wow. That's amazing. Did Stephen Austin spend time in St. Genevieve?
Not that I found any documentation about it.
Just Dan.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And they do recognize something down in Texas, I believe, about Moses Austin.
Yes, and I can't remember right at this moment what it is.
And I
but
didn't
I do
even-
remember reading about it.
It wasn't
Yeah.
even related to Valerie's book. It was something else that I was just looking at recently. And they have a plaque or something about Moses Austin down there.
That's pretty. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's part of the history of our country.
Yes.
Actually, the southern part of our country.
Well,
too.
and reading that the settlement was just not too after what Georgia was kind of, some of the colonies were getting
Right.
going.
Georgia was the 13th of the colonies,
Mhm.
and St. Genevieve was settled. Well, depending on if you look at the early one that flooded out, you could say 1735. So there's some debate about when it was actually founded, or it could be
that was one of my questions.
1785.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's a lot.
And was that LaSalle? Or who was he
Yes.
the initial person? that came down?
Originally, he
Okay.
was sent down from
Okay.
Canada. Mhm.
From Quebec.
Yeah. And to land there, I mean, I guess the river helped a lot, of course.
Kaskaskia was already starting to, have a community there, and this is just kind of down and across the river from Kaskaskia is where they settled St. Genevieve.
Mhm.
You mentioned something about in the book Fleur de Lis. I didn't know this either. It's just like the book's a wealth of like what
Trivia.
it is, but it's we see Fleur de Lis here in St. Louis
Right.
a lot.
It's
You've
our-
got one, right?
It's our big, she does.
Especially the New Orleans Saints,
Uh-huh.
big in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
The French.
Yeah.
What's with the Fleur de Lis?
Flower of the lily. It is traditionally associated with the French and
Right.
the Blessed Mother, the Virgin Mary.
And do each petal stands for like the Trinity or
Yes,
something? Okay.
yes.
I never
Mhm.
knew that. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that the petals were part of the Trinity. I
It's like,
didn't.
what?
Yeah, I had no idea. And it's amazing who uses the fleur de lis. So that's interesting.
Where did you find that? Did you find that in the research of the book, or did you know that before?
Oh, I knew that about St. Louis, but then I found the same type of documentation when I was researching for St. Genevieve.
Okay, now Mark and I are born and raised here, and we didn't even know about
No,
it.
had no idea.
The French influence. And
We knew
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
now that I look, if you look when you drive around St. Louis, you will see the fleur de lis on many signs
yeah.
and buildings
Oh,
and
yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Once you know, then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand why that's there.
It's on the city of St. Louis flag.
Right.
Yes.
Many old iron fences have
Yes.
that as their finial at the
Right.
top.
I found it particularly down in Lafayette Square.
Yes. Yes,
See it a lot down there.
that's true.
Why St. Genevieve? What's your connection with St. Genevieve? Just interested in the town and wanted to do a book about it?
I am not from Missouri, but I think Missouri is a fabulous state and it has so many areas that are history, just amazing history. And I'm a history nerd. And so things like this fascinate me. And if I find one particular fact, it's like, okay, I want to dig and find out some more.
Mhm.
And this idea was actually pitched to me by Josh Stevens, who is the owner publisher of Reedy Press. He said, would you be interested in doing a walking tour about St. Genevieve since you did the one on St. Charles?
Mhm.
I said, sure.
How long does it take? A lot of research, I would say, had to go into that. A lot of
Probably,
energy
I don't
and
know,
effort.
5-6 months from start and photographs and multiple, trips down there.
Mhm.
And then getting the fact checked and things like that. So
Mhm.
probably about 5 or 6 months.
That's not bad. I would have thought, but you're very smart, way smarter than me. But I would think it would take longer, but maybe not.
It depends on how much you concentrate, I think, on,
Uh-huh.
doing
Focus
your
in on it.
research. And I
Mhm.
can just lose myself in research
Right.
and forget what time it is,
Being
that
the
kind of stuff.
historical nerd.
My
that you
dog
are.
comes and puts her paw on my leg. It's like, Mom, I need to
go
go
out.
out. Yeah.
And you need to feed me. And you probably should eat too.
Well, it's a nice day trip too. It's
It is. It's
yeah,
like,
and
what, 60, 70 miles?
yeah, it's a beautiful drive.
It is. It's a very beautiful drive down there. Yeah.
The St. Gen Art Colony. I actually knew about the St. Gen Art Colony because one of the people who was Thomas Hart Benton
Mhm.
with Suzanne Martel,
Mhm.
and there was Joseph Vorst from St. Louis. He
Mhm.
was also part about big down there. I saw the building where they kind of housed their thing every summer. They went down and did some art
Mhm.
down there. Talk a little bit more about that if you wouldn't mind.
It was during the Depression years, the
Mhm.
early 1930s, and the emphasis was really going out. What you would think of as like plein air now,
Mhm.
where you go out, and a lot of the gritty, dirty aspects of the Depression, life in the Depression, were captured by some of these artists.
Mhm.
And some people think that maybe that was what started the interest in tourism in St. Genevieve, was these people coming down every summer to
Interesting.
participate in this art school.
Huh. Now you're going to be having some book signings. Would you highlight those book signings you're going to be at, Valerie?
Okay, I am going to be in St. Genevieve for the French Heritage Festival, and it runs Saturday, June 8th and Sunday, June 9th. And I will be at St. Genevieve Welcome Center, which is pretty much a great place to start if you're going to look around St. Genevieve, as far as talking to people who live there who can maybe give you some inside information. They have all kinds of brochures and things like that. There's a huge diorama there, and it was done to capture St. Genevieve in the 1800s, and it measures like 11 by 9 feet. And Louis Pernaut was the man who made the diorama. So I will be there from 11 to 2 on Saturday, June 8th. And then from 2 until 5, I will be at the Antique Mall St. Genevieve, which you mentioned, which that building itself has a whole interesting history. And then on Sunday, I will be at ASL Pewter from 11 to 2. And ASL Pewter is it's a man and woman. They have just a fascinating store. They do all their casting themselves. But what I captured in the book, they have an ice house at the back of their property, and it's pretty fascinating if you know anything about ice houses. And here comes the history nerd. How people 1800s would go and they had tools to cut the ice when the river froze, and then they would stack the ice in wagons with straw and sawdust and then store it in ice houses. And if they had a good ice harvest, it would last till springtime.
Wow.
Crazy. That's crazy.
St. Charles did the same thing.
Never knew.
So June 8th and 9th, you can see Valerie down in St. Gen and go get your book signed.
Yeah.
It's a great book, St. Genevieve, A Walk Through History by Valerie Battle Kinzel. And Valerie, really appreciate you coming in today. It's great to meet you for the first time. We've talked, several times before, and I'm glad you took time to come in today.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
What a pleasure. Yeah. I'm going to make a trip to St. Genevieve.
It's a great, and you can
never been there really.
Don't go, and that's just bad. Don't go to the winery. Go to do the walking tour, and maybe on the way back, get a glass of wine. It's a great view of the vineyards and stuff, but you want to go for the history first.
It looks like all the buildings in the walking tour are old. They're
Yes.
1800s, or
And
older.
something that has been added maybe since the last time you were at the Antique Mall, there was a locally made wooden Bart's, beautiful, fabulous. And it's in one of the wings of the Antique Mall. So you can look for treasures, but you can also have adult beverages and, refreshments there, and then continue looking for treasures.
There you go.
I like treasure.
All right. Well, we got a treasure right here. St. Genevieve, Missouri, A Walk Through History. Valerie, thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. We're going to take a brief break. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston on the U.S. Radio Network. This is Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune on behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page. On behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation, this has been Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune.
Each time that we plan a show for St. Louis in Tune, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories, as well as interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. And while St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we also connect what's going on nationally as well. Our topics cover a wide range of arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, humor, justice, sports, and that's just to name a few. We know there's many radio stations, programs, even podcasts that you could be listening to, and we're glad that you've chosen to listen to St. Louis in Tune. If you've missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There, you'll find every show from our first to our most current. Use the search engine to look for a show that might interest you from one of the many topics that we've covered. And drop us a line and tell us how we're doing. You can do that at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune, heard Monday through Friday on the usradionetwork.com and many great radio stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. And don't forget, check out our website, STLintune.com. That's STLintune.com.
The United States has a strong tradition of welcoming newcomers and refugees. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans inspired to welcome those seeking freedom and safety and in turn help strengthen their own communities. Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership that is inspired by what Americans represent to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. All it takes is a helping hand. Are you ready to learn more? Contact the International Institute of St. Louis at info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. That's info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090.
Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston. And again, folks, St. Genevieve, A Walk Through History, a book by Valerie Battle Kinzel. Great book, folks. You need to check it out. Get down to St. Genevieve, or St. Jen, as she's known. And
we're saying it's about 60 miles?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, right down 55.
Seems further than that than me.
It does. I know it's 2 hours from kind of St. Louis to Cape Girardeau, roughly. So
the Cape's a little further.
Right,
yeah.
right. But it's a beautiful drive.
But it's kind of on the way. So
yeah, and you have to kind of get off 55 to really get down to St. Jen area, and it's green and hilly and beautiful.
It just who would have picked a spot like that from Quebec?
I don't know.
That's there was no 55, so
no.
How do you find a spot like that? I guess you go down the river.
Well, she was saying, that settlement across the river was going on, and I guess, hey, let's just go across the river and
do something
there.
close by.
Yeah,
I guess, all right. And St. Louis was, I'm not sure on when St. Louis was founded.
Founded after St. Genevieve.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. That's what I was trying to
interesting.
calculate in my little brain that I have.
And she discusses a little bit about how St. Genevieve was actually bigger, and then St. Louis kind of took over just because of other factors that were happening.
Yeah, we have the confluence.
Right, and after the Louisiana Purchase, things kind of sprouted after that.
Yeah. So much. We left them in our dust. That's terrible to say. I know.
Now, it's that time of the year for graduation.
Oh, yes,
and high school and college graduation. And there was a recent spokesman, I should say, commencement speaker, at one of the large universities here in the United States, at Duke University, and it happened to be none other than Jerry Seinfeld.
I was saying the reels, they have reels on Facebook and things like that. And he's been popping up a lot over the last 24 hours.
I think he's trying to maybe make a comeback or something.
Bits and pieces of this, of his commencement speech.
So we actually have the entire speech that we're going to play, and courtesy of Duke University.
So our research department here at St. Louis in Tune?
Our research department at St. Louis Tune worked feverishly overnight to provide this speech for you. It's Jerry Seinfeld at the Duke University commencement.
Thank you. Oh my God, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful class. We love you guys. I am here today at the gracious invitation of President Price and the Duke Board of Trustees, because after spending 4 years at what is considered one of the finest institutions of higher education in the world, they apparently feel that perhaps some light entertainment will get you all to the final realization, I think I've really had enough of this place. Let's bring in a comedian. Let's bring the sophistication and erudition of the Duke experience down a couple notches. And I thought maybe that does make sense. Maybe the thinking was what we really want is to just get these kids the hell out of here. What would give them that last final push? Because what you might not be fully aware of is that the entire time you have been at this wonderful university, we have been meeting and talking to other kids that we would like to replace you with. Not because we weren't happy with you, not at all. You have been great. It's just, we wanted to see what's out there. I don't want to say exactly how many kids we talked to. It's roughly this many. And we met a lot of wonderful kids, a lot. Was there a time when we were thrilled to have you come here to learn, grow, and flourish? Of course there was. That time has passed. We do offer graduate programs in a number of different disciplines if you and your parents want to stall your ultimate uselessness for a few more years. I can't imagine how sick you are of hearing about following your passion. I say, the hell with passion. Find something you can do, that would be great. If you try something and it doesn't work, that's okay too. Most things do not work. Most things are not good. You know this already from your short lives. You leave the house, you come back. How was Pie 'n' Hard? It was okay. That's why everyone tries so hard to get in here. Duke actually is really good. The school is the square handicap button that opens the broadhead doors to your life. Unless it's those heavy wooden doors at the West Union, those will kill you. Let go of this idea that you have to find this one great thing that is my passion, my great passion, with your shirt torn open and your heaving pec muscles. It's embarrassing. Just be willing to do your work as hard as you can with the ability you have. We don't need the heavy breathing and the outstretched arm from your passion. It makes coworkers uncomfortable in the cubicle next to you. Find fascination. Fascination is way better than passion. It's not so sweaty. I will give you my 3 real keys to life, no jokes in this part. Okay, they are, number 1, bust your ass. Number 2, pay attention. Number 3, fall in love. Number 1, you obviously already know. Whatever you're doing, I don't care if it's your job, your hobby, a relationship, getting a reservation at M Sushi, make an effort. Just pure, stupid, no real idea what I'm doing here effort. Effort always yields a positive value, even if the outcome of the effort is absolute failure of the desired result. This is a rule of life. Just swing the bat and pray is not a bad approach to a lot of things. Number 2, pay attention. If you're in a small submersible that looks like a giant kazoo and going to visit the Titanic, 7 miles down at the bottom of the ocean, and the captain of the vessel is using a Game Boy controller, pay attention to that. What are you checking out down there? Oh, I see what happened. This ship sank. Now I understand why it never made it into port. If the fish where you are have eyes like Shelley Duvall and a bendy straw with a work light hanging off their head, you do not belong there. If the fish are going, I can't see a goddamn thing, you won't either. Number 3, fall in love. It's easy to fall in love with people. I suggest falling in love with anything and everything, every chance you get. Fall in love with your coffee, your sneakers, your Blue Zone parking space. I've had a lot of fun in life falling in love with stupid, meaningless physical objects. The object I love the most is the clear barrel Bic pen, $1.29 for a box of 10. I can fall in love with a car turn signal switch that has a nice feel to it, a pizza crust that collapses with just the right amount of pressure. I have truly spent my life focusing on the smallest things imaginable, completely oblivious to all the big issues of living. Find something where you love the good parts and don't mind the bad parts too much. The torture you're comfortable with. This is the golden path to victory in life. Work, exercise, relationships, they all have a solid component of pure torture, and they are all 1,000% worth it. Privilege is a word that has taken quite a beating lately. Privilege today seems to be the worst thing you can have. I would like to take a moment to defend it. Again, a lot of you are thinking, I can't believe they invited this guy. Too late. I say, use your privilege. I grew up a Jewish boy from New York. That is a privilege if you want to be a comedian. Thanks. If I messed up a funny story around my relatives, they would go, that's not how you tell that joke. The prostitute has to be behind the drapes when the wife comes in. You went to Duke. That is an unbelievable privilege. I now have an honorary doctorate of humane letters degree from Duke University. And if I can figure out a way to use that, I will. I haven't figured anything out yet. I think it's pretty much as useful in real life as this outfit I'm wearing. But so what? I'll take it. My point is we're embarrassed about things we should be proud of and proud of things we should be embarrassed about. When I was writing my TV series, thanks. What a crowd. So on my staff in the 90s, we had a lot of Harvard guys. They were fantastic, but I could never understand why these guys were so embarrassed about being from Harvard. They would never talk about it. They would never mention it. I'm not talking about Harvard now. I'm talking about the way it used to be. You're never going to believe this. Harvard used to be a great place to go to school. Now it's Duke. You didn't fake your fabulous education. You earned it. Be proud of it. Don't just drop it on people right before you serve in pickleball. Okay, Duke 24 coming at you. But if it comes up, if someone asks, don't say it looking down, stubbing your toe in the dirt. When someone asks, where'd you go to school? You say, I went to Duke. Watch them take that uncomfortable, hard swallow. AI, on the other hand, is the most embarrassing thing we've ever invented in mankind's time on Earth. Oh, so you can't do the work. Is that what you're telling me? You can't figure it out? This seems to be the justification of AI. I couldn't do it. This is something to be embarrassed about. The ad campaign for ChatGPT should be the opposite of Nike. You just can't do it. Making fake brains is risky. Frankenstein proved that. He was so dumb, he thought a monster needed a sport jacket. It's not a wine tasting. We're terrorizing villagers. No one's going to tell you, I'm sorry, Mr. Stein, it's jackets only this evening. What I like is we're smart enough to invent AI, dumb enough to need it, and still so stupid we can't figure out if we did the right thing. Making work easier, this is the problem. So obsessed with getting to the answer, completing the project, producing a result, which are all valid things, but not where the richness of the human experience lies. The only two things you ever need to pay attention to in life are work and love. Things that are self-justified in the experience, and who cares about the result? Stop rushing to what you perceive as some valuable endpoint. Learn to enjoy the expenditure of energy that may or may not be on the correct path. Now, if you have been at this amazing place for 4 years and still have no idea what you like, what you're interested in, or what you want to do in life, you are the luckiest ones here. Those of you that think you know what you want to do are very likely wrong, and perhaps even overestimating your ability to do it. You have convinced yourself that you know who you are and what's going on in the world. You don't know either. The less secure and confident you feel in the direction, the more surprises and excitement you will have in store. That's good. So the better the job you've done in finding a path for yourself, the more boring and predictable your life is going to be. If you're sitting here today completely confused, feeling lost, adrift, and totally abandoned, you might even be a G. I say, congratulations. You win the Duke commencement ceremonies of 2024. You are about to go on a hell of a ride. About work, you know how they always say nobody ever looks back on their life and wishes they spent more time at the office? Well, why? Why don't they? Guess what? Depends on the job. If you took a stupid job that you find out you hate and you don't leave, that's your fault. Don't blame work. Work is wonderful. I definitely will not be looking back on my life wishing I worked less. If that's not how you feel at work, quit. On your lunch break, disappear. Make people go, what happened to that guy? I don't know. He said he was getting something to eat, never came back. The one thing I know about this gang here, you are all worker bees, and I mean that as the highest compliment. I love bees. Beautiful, amazing, elegant society. I made a cartoon movie about bees you may have watched as a child. If any of you felt slightly uncomfortable about the sexual undertones in the relationship between Barry the bee and Vanessa, the florist who saves his life, I would like to apologize for that now. I may not have calibrated that perfectly, but I would not change it. And this is probably the biggest point I would like to make to you here today regarding humor. I'm going to try and reach across a couple generations here to tell you the most important thing I am confident that I know about life. I'm 70. I'm done. You are just starting. I only want to help you. The slightly uncomfortable feeling of awkward humor is okay. It's not something you need to fix. I totally admire the ambitions of your generation to create a more just and inclusive society. I think it is also wonderful that you care so much about not hurting other people's feelings in the 1,000,001 ways we all do that every second of every day. It's lovely to want to fix those things, but, all caps, but, what I need to tell you as a comedian, do not lose your sense of humor. You can have no idea at this point in your life how much you are going to need it to get through. Not enough of life makes sense for you to be able to survive it without humor. And I know all of you here are going to use all of your brains and muscle and soul to improve the world, and I know you're going to do a bang-up job. And when you're done, as I am now, I bet the world, because of you, will be a much better place. But it will still not make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It'll be a better, different, but still pretty insane mess. And it is worth the sacrifice of an occasional discomfort to have some laughs. Don't lose that. Even if it's at the cost of occasional hard feelings, it's okay. You gotta laugh. That is the one thing at the end of your life you will not wish you did less of. Humor is the most powerful, most survival, essential quality you will ever have or need to navigate through the human experience. The other thing I see going on that throws a lot of people, thank you. I was hoping you'd like that part. The other thing I see going on that throws a lot of people off these days is thinking, I've got to make as much money as I can. I personally believe the real game is I want to have the coolest job. When I started out as a comedian, I did not think I was funny. I thought I'm a little funny. Maybe I wouldn't have to be that funny. I just have to be funny enough to feed one person. And I could do that with a loaf of Wonder Bread and a jar of peanut butter. A loaf of bread and some peanut butter. That was my actual plan. That's how you think when you do not have a Duke education. I just wanted to have this super cool job. And cool is a word not easily defined. It's really just whatever you think is cool. So just go for what you think is the coolest. Money will be made eventually, somehow. Try not to think about it so much. I see this messing people up a lot. Put it to the side a little. Don't think about having, think about becoming. Having is fine, but focus on becoming. That is where it's at. And I know you're not really even listening to this speech, and that's okay. I wouldn't either. You're graduating. You're thinking about yourself or timing your mobile order from the Yalla truck. That's all cool. But the one thing I really do care about communicating to you is don't lose your humor. Forget the rest. Forget your education, your degree, your privilege. All of you here would do fantastically well without any of it. All of you here, without question, are the best of the best. Just don't lose your humor. It's not an accessory. It's your Stanley Cup water bottle on the brutal long hike of life. And humor is not just for the stress relief or even just the simple fun of laughing, but for the true perspective of the silliness of all humans and all existence. That's why you don't want to lose it. Try to enjoy some of the dumbness of it all. That's the best life advice I can give you. I wish you luck. I wish you love. Thanks for the phony degree and the ridiculous outfit. Go get him. Duke class of 24. Throw the hat up. Let's get out of here. Congratulations.
A lot of good stuff there, Mark.
Oh, yes. Yes. I've always agreed. I always thought that money is a result of our efforts.
Yes.
So I think he's right on the money there. Just find something you love to do it, and the money will come, you know.
Yeah. And when I was thinking about his particular speech and hearing people talk about it, I was thinking, what do I remember about the graduation speeches that I've heard at commencements? And I don't remember anything.
Neither do I. Nor do I. There was only one, I think, that anybody ever remembers, since it was a Churchill that did it. Never, never, never give up.
Right.
That was it.
Right. It was a good one.
I know. That was that. That's all he said. I think. I think there was more to it, but the part was never, never, never give up. And that was the only commencement speech I think anybody ever remembers.
Jerry Seinfeld, humor and being a comedian, some very serious moments there, some very what I would call pointed things at where we are in society. And I think comedians have, that's part of their job
Yeah.
to poke fun
Mhm.
at where we are in society,
Right.
and it's doing it in a way to kind of make you, yeah,
Mhm.
wow,
Yeah. And I agree. Humor is the best medicine.
yes,
I mean, and he certainly thinks that's the prescription that we should have, which I think is great. He's right. We should all have a bit of a sense of humor,
right.
which I don't think we have enough
I
of.
agree.
Sometimes I laugh when people do. I don't know, when I shouldn't be laughing, I laugh.
You might be laughing on the outside
I-
or the inside.
Oh, I have quite a bit more than I probably should.
Do you have any days of the day? Is like this the graduation day of all days or something? Or,
I don't have a whole lot, but I do have a few. I was just looking them over. Let's see. National Bruce Day. If you know anybody named Bruce, it's their day today. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Let me see. Yeah, we've had a little glitch in the computer today, so it's
Must be the Matrix. It's having problems.
it could very well be. National Drew Day, Tulip Day. Do you like tulips?
I love tulips.
Now, I don't know why they'd make Tulip Day right now, because all the tulips I've seen are gone.
They're gone, right?
Almost
the first ones to come up.
Yeah, I think Tulip Day should have been maybe a month ago when they were all starting to come up, when we had tulips everywhere.
It's Tulip Day every day in Holland or in other ones.
Right. Online Romance Day. Did you? I actually have a family member who found the love of his life online.
Okay.
So I'm a believer now. I thought, no, that's just not right. You just can't do that. Let me see here. National Chocolate Chip Day. One of your favorites.
Right.
I know.
Dark chocolate chips.
Dark. Now those are better for you, aren't they?
That's correct.
Right. How about Straw Hat Day? Do you have a straw hat?
I had them when I was a child.
Where do they come from? I know National Police Week is coming up, which is kind of good. Remember the folks in blue?
Yeah.
Right. National Barbecue Day. Yum.
Oh, yes. Did that last night.
Did you?
Yes.
We got a pizza oven, a gas pizza oven,
That's
and we
interesting.
tried it. Yeah.
Work out okay?
No.
Okay.
The first one did not work out. I mean, it was our first try at it.
Okay.
It's all about the dough,
Yes, it is.
and the heat and how hot. When nobody told us you have to really preheat.
Did you have a stone
Uh-huh.
that you put in there and everything?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Nobody told us though that you had to really have everything up to
500 degrees.
I was going to say 500-600 degrees. Yeah. I think we started at 400 and everything was sticking.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that but it's what fun it was.
Yes.
A lot of fun making
Those
your
are.
own pizzas.
Oh, yeah.
Then we'd all share them and everything. So it was kind of fun.
We do that in the oven. We have a stone and we stick that in
Oh,
there,
do you
crank it
now?
up to 500 degrees.
Oh.
And Amy's got the recipe, and then we have the little condiments. And
Really?
roll it out.
Oh, no
Yeah.
kidding.
It's a nice
I
activity.
never thought about doing it in the oven
Yeah.
at home. Right. National Love a Tree Day.
Mm.
Yeah. Nickel Day. I don't know. Waiters Day.
Waiters, like a server, or waiters that you would
good question.
fish in.
Good question. It's the server.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not waitresses, but I guess waiters means
Should
both.
be National Server Day.
There you go. See there. Yes, politically correct. National Law Week.
Mm.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
here's one you might like. Well, maybe not with you. You're having a little knee trouble here lately, but Bike to School Day,
Yeah.
Bike to Work Day.
Yeah. That'd be
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, I don't ride my bike anymore.
I've
Like I
biked
should.
to the station before.
We have National Bike to Work Day. It's the same week. NASCAR Day is coming up. Do you like NASCAR?
I haven't really watched them much.
Yeah.
Not my thing to sit
Just
there and
kinda-
watch cars go around.
In a circle.
Yeah.
Or oblong.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
I know, very loud too. Let's see. Pack Rat Day. There you go.
Ooh,
That's a lifestyle
that is.
to be a
That's-
pack rat.
Right.
Do you know anybody that's a pack rat?
I'm kind of part pack rat.
Are you? I think we all have a little pack rat in us.
Yes, I agree with that.
Let's see. Armed Forces Day is coming up. Let's see. There's
A lot of good things.
Yeah, that's just a few of the many. I don't think there's World Fiddle Day.
Mm.
We could end on our National Donut Week.
Remember the expression "quit fiddling around"?
Yeah. Now, is a violin a fiddle?
It is technically.
Okay. I've always wanted to talk about this.
I think it's what part of the country you are in, whether it's how it's referred to. It's, technical name's a violin, but,
people call the violin a fiddle.
A fiddle, right? Pretty much down south, I would say.
It's a
those
fiddle.
with bluegrass music.
It's a fiddle.
A fiddle.
I don't know where that came from. It just doesn't.
I don't know.
For me, it just doesn't connect.
To look in the book of
wise.
Book of Word Origins.
why it's the fiddle, and of course, National Donut Week.
There you go.
We should bring donuts in. Celebrate your elected officials day. That's the one we should end on.
Yeah. Vote
them all out. I know, clear house.
Jerry Seinfeld talked about being cool.
You
don't become cooler with age, but you do care progressively less about being cool, which is the only true way of being cool. This is called the Geezer paradox. Here's a math problem. Mark, I know you love math. If George is 68 and his girlfriend is 22, how much money does George have?
I don't know. I'd have to write it down.
None. Let's see here.
Wrong answer, right?
Yeah. Okay, we'll skip that one. That was too long. A sign on an auto service. 25 years ago, we had Johnny Cash, Bob Hope, and Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no Cash, Hope, or Jobs. Please, God, don't let Kevin Bacon die. I missed 2 of my mom's calls, so I assume the helicopter that just flew over my house is part of the search crew that she called.
I love
Today, a man knocked on my door and asked for a small donation for the local swimming pool. I gave him a glass of water.
Golly. That's good, actually. That's good.
Let's see here.
He's working on it, folks.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
He's got one
This
coming
one's
up.
kind of low. Okay, mom's favorite sayings.
Okay.
What part of no don't you understand? I don't care who started it. Money doesn't grow on trees. Your face is going to freeze like that. Your hands are not broken. I heard all of these so far. Beds are made for sleeping, not jumping.
Ooh.
No one said life is fair. Eat your vegetables. My brother's still sitting at the table, worrying over the green beans. I don't know is not an answer because I said so. That's why.
Oh, no. I don't like that one. Oh.
And lastly, we'll close with this. This is breaking news. The earth revolves around the sun. This may upset a few people who think it revolves around them.
Yeah. Yes. I know those people. I know them.
And some of them may be in government. Oh, did I say that?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's all for this hour, folks. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, you can listen to additional shows at stlintune.com. Consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and continue to grow. Thanks to Bob Berthasell for our theme music and co-host Mark Langston. And we thank each and every one of you for being a part of our community of curious minds. St. Louis in Tune is a production of Motif Media Group and the U.S. Radio Network. Remember to keep seeking, keep learning, walk worthy, and let your light shine. For St. Louis in Tune, I'm Arnold Stricker.